Hi, this is Mr. Wedge, and today we're going to shade a machine drawing that we did in the style of Leonardo da Vinci. What is it? What does it do? I have no idea, but it's a cool drawing. And I was inspired by some junk that I looked at on the table. And then I also used my imagination and made some things up. So today we're going to make this look 3D like Leonardo's drawings looked 3D. So the first thing we're going to do is pick a corner, top corner, and it's up to you. So right or left. I'm going to pick the right, so I'll just put a little arrow, and that means that the light is coming from the right. So if the light is coming from the right, it's going to hit the right side of everything, but not the left. So your shadows are going to be on the left side of everything. And when we say light and shadow, we're talking about value. And we've done value scales where we have white, light, medium, dark, black, and you can do all that with a pencil. And if you can do values, then you can make things look real, right? So here's a ball on a table, and it looks 3D because I'm thinking about where the light's hitting it, and the shadow's on the other side, and there's also a cast shadow. So if it's on the form, it's a form shadow, and if it's on the table or the ground or the floor or whatever, just not on the object, it's called the cast shadow. It's the shadow that you see when you look at the grass when you're outside on a sunny day and you see your outline. So there's two different ways you could do this. You could do gradual steps, right? And that's a solid gray, and that's a solid gray, and that's a solid gray. And those are for flat objects. But if you're going to do something that's round, you'd want to fade it. You want to fade the shade. And it's not wrong to smudge it with your finger to kind of make it look like it's turning away from the light, because that's what makes things look round. And we've done all this. We've drawn spheres and cylinders or pipes and cubes. So try to remember all that. If it's a form that has flat sides, just think about, is it going to be light or dark, and then shade them in like a flat gray. If it's a round object, think about where the light and dark is going to be, and then try to make it fade, because the fade is what makes it look round. So yeah, the light doesn't have to be on the right though, but you're going to decide. For this, it's on the right. It doesn't really matter. The light's going to hit this, and it's flat, so I don't have to do anything. The light's kind of coming from above, but mostly from the right, so I could shade this in, but it's flat, so I'm going to make it solid, just a solid tone, not color, but like a value. And then this side is kind of facing more away from the light. So as I shade that in, it's going to be a little darker, so I'm going to push down a little bit harder. And this is some part of a machine, and I don't exactly know what it does. But that's okay. I just want to try to make this flat side look 3D like it's in the shadow. And don't be afraid to turn your paper if you need to get a better angle on things. Just think about how hard you're pushing down on it, and just do your best to shade. So I just shaded this part and try to make it look more 3D. So over here on this, this would be the same value, right? This is a flat surface that's facing us, just like this one. So I have to make it the same value. And this one would be, this surface would be, this one and this one. And actually all of these too. They're all going to be shaded like this one is, nice and flat. Right? And not too light, not too dark, if it's facing you. Oops, I forgot something. But this little side, right? The light's coming from the right, so this is facing the left, so I know it's going to be dark. It's facing away from the light. And it's flat, so I have to just make it one dark, basically just color it in. Oh, also if you have a hole in something, if you ever see like a hole in something, just make it black. So here's a hole up here. What is it? I don't know. I can figure it out later. But holes are always just black. Pretend it's like a cave or the hole in a tree. It's black because the light doesn't get in it, right? So there we go. So that's flat things. That's how you would shade it, and holes. And this is a flat surface. But if you've got a round surface, what do you have to do? You have to fade it. And that's what makes it look round. So here's this round surface, and the light's coming from above and from the right, right? So it's hitting this round surface. So this will be light, but as it turns toward the ground, it's going to turn away from the light, so it's going to get darker. So I faded that surface, and that's what makes that look round. And I would do the same thing to this because it's a pipe basically, or a cylinder. And yeah, cast shadows, so the one on the ground, you only need to do if something is on the ground. So this thing, they don't need cast shadows because they're up in the air, right? So the only things I need to do cast shadow for are these wheelie things. And just, it's gonna go on the ground and away from the light, and they can just be, you know, flat things. So think about the direction the light is coming from. All your shadows are gonna go away from the light. That's the trick, you have to remember that. All shadows go away from the light, or they're on the other side from the light. If they're facing the light, like this, that wouldn't really get a shadow because the light's hitting it. Maybe on the edges as it turns away a little bit, you could make it look more 3D that way. This surface is flat and it's just like this one. So I can just color this one in like this, shade it in. I keep saying color, but we're not using color, we're just using value. But yeah, well, so once you get how value is used, you can make up anything and just shade it so it looks 3D. And this time the light's coming from the left. So I picked a different corner. What does this machine do? I don't know, I just made it up. You can do a lot of different crazy things. The more parts you add to your machine, the more interesting it's gonna look. And if you notice, too, I've got a little person up here driving it. So if you draw a little small person, shade them the same way, but it'll also make this whole machine look huge. So if you want the machine to look giant, draw a little person in there. And you can also write notes on here. Leonardo wrote notes about what the machine did, and he would include these notes right in his drawings because they were in his notebooks. So he drew and he wrote notes, and it was just for himself. So, but they look so cool, and like I said, he's got tons and tons and tons of drawings. He's famous for his paintings, but he did way more drawings than paintings. Anywho, work hard, have fun.